Hey there, my name is Cameron Russell. I'm an organic chemistry teacher, and today I am going to. Hey there, my name is Cameron Russell. I'm an organic chemistry tutor. Today I'm going to be explaining how to do nomenclature. So, if you'd like to pause the video and fill in these blanks, I have a few examples of structures that have common names that are used in nomenclature. So, you can go ahead and pause and try and fill it out on your own. If not, let's start on this left column over here. So these structures are also known as what's called straight chains. And what a straight chain is a straight chain is when carbons are directly connected to one another. So they don't really branch off, or there's no side chains, there's no extra carbons. It's just all in a row. It's a straight chain, so we call this an N chain. So starting at the top with one carbon, also the squiggly line on these chains just indicate that there could be something else down, like further along the chain, but we're only worried on what's on the other side of the squiggly line. So the first one, we have a methyl group. This is one carbon. And this can also be written out as CH3 and then a little dash because it would be connected to something else. That's what that squiggly line indicates, is there's like something else over here, or we could also do R. R represents something else that we don't know, but we're only worried about this first part. So for the two carbons, we have an ethyl, or this could also be CH3, CH2, R. So, and then if we keep going along, we have a propyl group, just CH3, CH2, CH2, and R. And as you can see, we're increasing our carbon, each time. So one carbon is methyl, 2 is ethyl, 3 is propyl. And this is for the case that they're in a straight chain, so they're connected one after the other. They're like in a line, like going to get ice cream. All these carbons are in a line. Let's go to 4 carbons now. For 4 carbons, we have butyl, right? So this would be 4 carbons in a side chain. And then we have pentyl, 5. And lastly, we have hexyl for 6 carbons. Now, sometimes they're not always in a straight line. They're not always getting ice cream. And this is what the cases are over here. So here we have 1, 2, 3 carbons, but not quite the same. So this one would be called isopropyl. And what that looks like is we have a CH3, CH, CH3R. So as you can compare it to this other straight chain, it's CH3, CH2, CH2 in a line. We have CH3 and another CH3 attached to this one carbon. So this one carbon has 2 bonds instead of, or it has actually 3 bonds, my bad, instead of having 2 bonds. So that's a difference in how we're going to name the molecule. Let's go on to these 3. These 3 are different versions of butyl. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 different types of nomenclature for a 4 carbon chain. Let's start with the first one. This one is called isobutyl. Secondly, we have sec-butyl. And lastly, we have tert-butyl. So I'll start from the bottom and work my way up because I feel like tert-butyl is the easiest to understand. Tert-butyl is when all three of these carbons are attached to one center carbon, right? So we have a middle carbon, CH3, 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 and then a side chain. So this is like a tertiary carbon, right? Where this carbon has 3 non-hydrogen connections and then some side chain. So this one's called tert-butyl. The second one and the first one are very similar in that there's one branch off. So instead of doing a straight chain, there's like a methyl group one of these bad boys hanging off a certain carbon. The only difference is if it's first carbon here or the second carbon where the methyl group hangs off. So we have a difference in the location, and that's how we use iso and sec to kind of differentiate where that one branch is coming off. The way I like to think about it is I kind of like to think about these two. They're very similar in that where it branches off is on the last carbon that it can possibly branch off, right? Because if it branches off here for this one, let's take that one away and branch it off, we now just have a propyl group. So it would be a little different. So on the last carbon that it can possibly branch off of, I always like to think iso. And then sec-butyl would be it's usually like the first carbon. Instead of the last one, it's the first carbon that you can branch off a methyl group.